What's a trade secret you know from working the industry? If you ship through FedEx Express, if you're sending many packages/envelopes to a single stop, ship one priority overnight and the rest standard. They'll be delivered together with the priority package. A resistor is made in Japan. It is wrapped in plastic and shipped to Michigan. It's installed into a small PCB. It is wrapped in plastic and shipped to Taiwan. That PCB is installed via sideboard connector onto a larger PCB. It is shipped to China. That PCB is installed in a small housing via harness. It is shipped to India. That housing has its microchips programmed and the outside is given a chemical treatment. It is shipped back to Michigan. The housing is now treated and installed into a car side mirror. It is shipped to Ohio. The side mirror is run through a post-production sort program to check for defects. It is shipped to Detroit. It is installed onto a car. Every single step of that shipping, every single component is wrapped in plastics. Millions of them per car, to over half a dozen locations each. Something like 50 million cars are produced each year. Your straws aren't doing shit for the use of plastics. Automotive production and diagnostics engineer. We actually did find and file that bug in your favorite video game. Our leadership just decided it was okay to ship with it. If you want to book a rental car but they're sold out, book it for a week or two longer than you actually need it and then just return the car early and you'll only get charged for the time that you had it. All the systems owned by Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Enterprise, Alamo and National, automatically open up their system to long-term reservations and will make sure you get a car over someone who only booked in for a day or two. Worked there for 2 years. It's a dirty business, but at least I learned a lot of rental hacks, Lamau. Most electronic medical records allow providers to put pop-up warnings in your chart if you act verbally or physically aggressive. If you yelled at the ER nurse in 2017, the medical assistant you called today begging for a last-minute appointment can see it. If you are buying software for your workplace, get a quote and then go silent until it's the end of the quarter. Then call the sales rep and tell them you can buy it today but only have enough budget for 70% of the cost. Your chances for a discount go way up at the end of the quarter. On any piece of machinery, if the welds you see look like shit, the welds you don't see are even worse. Calls are not being answered in the order received. If you are wondering what's taking me so long to process your loan application, it's because I forgot about it. Casinos don't need to cheat. We have already rigged the game against you. The urine pregnancy test you take at the doctor's is the same as the Dollar Tree one. When you order at a drive-thru, the microphone stays on until you move forward. So everyone inside the store with a headset on can hear your conversation until you leave the ordering area. Edit, wow. This blew up while I was at work. Tourism industry here. Look up when peak season is for the destination you're looking at. There are usually cheaper prices at the beginning and end of the season. Try to book at the beginning of the season. Seasonal workers work themselves ragged and are usually completely burnt out at the end. At the beginning of the season, everyone is stoked to start making money again. Having a crew that can pass a drug test is not the same as having a drug-free crew. Worked in high-end golf clubs for years. Almost all politicians register their handicap scores under a false name. The USGA handicap records are technically public information, and people would be pretty pissed if they knew how much time these guys actually spend playing golf. Movie industry. Unless you are absolutely breathtaking in your audition, which does happen, don't get me wrong, there is a list of 30 people each studio prioritizes to be in their major films. Most fossils in museums are replicas. These days they're usually plastic casts from silicone molds of real fossils, but 3D printed replicas made from high-resolution scans are becoming more and more a part of things. I've worked in high-end rugs. 1. If you own a hand-knotted rug, don't bother getting it professionally cleaned. If it's just wool, it probably is. Take a pressure washer and some rug shampoo to it if you like, not necessary unless there's some stains. Knotted rugs are super strong and can take it. I know someone who has a high-end cleaning business and this is what they do and charge $1 for this service. 2. 100% wool rugs that you see in stores, IKEA, West Elm, Crate and Barrel, etc. are made with blended wool. Which is fine, but it is just lower quality wool and will shed. New Zealand wool is what you want and has to be advertised as such. 2. Hand-tufted rugs are okay if you can't spend more than like 2 or 3K for an 8x10. These rugs will have a fabric backing as the fibers are glued down in the back instead of knotted in place, so the fibers will come loose and they're likely made with blended wool. Don't spend thousands on a tufted rug. 3. Never buy a rug with viscose in it, also called banana silk or art silk. It may be okay for bedrooms or low-traffic areas but is a pain in the ass to clean. You can't spot clean a stain, you have to get the whole thing cleaned by a professional. It stains easily. Stains on wool can be spot cleaned. 4. Low on money? Your best bet may be a flat woven rug in wool. Flat weaves can be decently hard wearing, you can flip it because it looks identical on the other side, and are often thin enough and small enough to fit, can be thrown on the delicate cycle in the wash. Lots of flat weaves out there, they're popular and not so expensive. Don't buy polyester or machine-made rug, please. They tend to look like shit easier and are harder to clean. If a medical professional ever suggests you get a second opinion, for example a nurse at the doctor's office, it can be code for they are concerned about the quality of the medical care you are currently receiving. And that you really should get that second opinion. All I'll say is wash the tops of your canned goods before opening them, folks. For the love of God, do it. Not sure if any of this is a secret, but if you can't find a book at your local library, ask the reference librarian to do an interlibrary loan. They have access to large networks of libraries that are able and willing to share materials, sometimes even across state lines depending on the sort of library and request. Also utilize the digital content. We have to pay big bucks and fight with publishing companies to get that content, ebooks, audiobooks, etc., and they are great resources. Libby and Overdrive are awesome. Many library systems also offer streaming content of movies and TV shows. Oh, and you can check out national park passes and museum tickets too at many libraries. Arcade crane games have knobs inside that let you control how strong the claw grabs. So you basically make the claw really weak strength, and then there's a setting in the motherboard to make the claw go full power after a certain amount of plays. Whatever the arcade or owner decides how often they want people to actually win. The U.S. military wastes an extraordinary amount of money, and not necessarily on weapons or personnel or anything like that. Every year, commanders must submit their total spending for the previous year. If they did not spend the granted amount, they lose it next year. So for example, if a commander is granted $5 million for his building but he only spends $4 million, his next budget will drop to $4 million. This results in commanders ordering expensive stuff in bulk, replacing good furniture and equipment, and enacting pointless construction projects such as a parking lot that they don't need. Great example, when he couldn't make the budget, our commander ordered 360-inch TVs and had them placed in the hallways, spare rooms, and tossed the remainder in storage. Each TV was overpriced at around $1,000. Commander met his budget though, so I guess it was a success. Welcome to the bloated U.S. military. Edit. I realize most of the government works this way, but this is just my specific experience in the military, which is arguably the most bloated and overfunded piece of the federal government's budget. A certain 48 interstate natural gas pipeline valve is being kept open by a strategically placed piece of 2x4 lumber. If the valve was closed, millions of people would be without nat gas fairly quickly. At any given point in time, roughly 10 to 20% of the entire internet has a dev team in an absolute panic state. The websites you use for every aspect of your life are held together with duct tape and shoestrings. When moving into a new rental, before you move anything in, take a video of your walkthrough and mention and point out everything and anything. Mark the date, time, and address. If they give you a small form to write on, make your own. This can save you lots of issues when you move out. Heartbreaking is the #1 driving behavior identifier that someone will be in an accident. So just chill. When you play match 3 games, like Candy Crush Saga, after beating a few levels the game will make it impossible for you to continue, you will be getting impossible odds. If you put your device aside and return after several hours or a day later, you will find the previously impossible level to be easy AF. It is a mechanism to prevent people from burning through hundreds of levels in one go. At Starbucks, they have a recycling and trash bin. They both go into the dumpster. If you are involuntarily kicked off a flight because of oversales, you can demand cash instead of a voucher. Scroll down to involuntary https://www.transportation.gov/individuals/aviation-consumer-protection/bumping oversales. Awards tend to be bullshit. Awards companies are there to sell advertising. They make up awards, offer winning titles to businesses, then charge them to include their name in their literature. For example, the business my husband and I own recently won a national award. We were even asked what award we'd like to win. What's the title of the award you feel you'd be best suited to? We could have made anything up and we'd have been given it. Best XYZ in the known universe. To receive a certificate, we need to pay them £70. For a trophy, it's £225. To have a quarter-page spread in their magazine, it's £650. For a featured article, we have to pay them £2,000. It's a load of bullshit. Nobody ever remembers who gave the award, and frankly, we aren't daft enough to pay for a featured article nobody will ever read, so we just use the term award winning in our own advertising now. Edited to add, thank you for the awards. All emergency rooms are not equal emergency rooms. In my hospital, we don't have any sort of OB, pediatrics, or any of that. Whenever a kid comes in, or worse a baby, the nurses and doctors are all in a panic. Not because they're incompetent, but because that's not what our hospital does regularly. Sure, we will stabilize to the best of our ability and we will immediately call the local children's hospital, but if you have a child, for example, in distress, and you have multiple hospitals nearby, try being aware beforehand which one is the best for yours or your child's needs. You don't want to rush into an ER where there isn't someone who can confidently and effectively treat you.